Hey boys and girls, Doug Giles here. It's Warriors, Rich.
And Wildmen. What's happening, Doug?
It's a beautiful day in the Texas Hill Country. That's one thing that's happening.
Let's go.
Liberty Fellowship, Rich, is the name of our church, and I'd like to invite anybody in the San Antonio, Austin area to come check us out in Wimberley, Texas at the VFW. Rich, not too early, but 11 a.m. every Sunday.
You can make it. That's awesome, man. I'm excited for that.
So what's cooking in Yuma on Sunday?
Well, we're getting ready. Not this weekend. This weekend we have church Saturday night and Sunday in Yuma, and in Mesa we have our Sunday service at 10. But next week in Yuma, Wednesday through Sunday, we're having our annual Week of Fire. And Week of Fire is a week where we have no life groups, no home groups, no other ministry. We all go to church every day, Wednesday to Sunday. We get that old-fashioned stop everything and fall in love with Jesus for 5 days kind of thing. So it's super fun.
So during the Week of Fire, are you going to have drag queen bingo? Is that included in your Week of Fire?
Nope. Going to have
Nothing?
Pastor Scotty Gurley from Tucson and Pastor Dean from Seattle is going to be here. And we're going to be talking about Jesus. There could be drag queens, Doug, but they're going to be sitting in the pews. They're going to be sitting in the pews, not on the platform. And hopefully they end up at the altar on their knees. That would be the goal if they showed up. Right next to everybody else. Come on, somebody.
Yeah, we're not going to have any drag queens in our pulpit either for the foreseeable future, God willing.
Yep. Hey, is our Week of Fire online? Oh, yeah, our Week of Fire is online. If they want to go to our website and watch it, it's destinychristianchurch.com, or you can find us on Facebook, or YouTube channel. It's Destiny Christian Church Live, and it's the world with the flame logo. If anybody wants to watch it this week, that'll be live.
Right on. So speaking about the drag queen stuff, I'm looking at an advertisement that Dr. Hotze sent me from a church in Katy. It's called the First Christian Church of Katy. Have you ever preached
Katy
there,
where?
Rich?
Katy where?
Katy, Texas.
Katy,
so
Texas. No, I haven't.
Yeah, that's in the Houston area. So you never preached there? Never heard of it?
Nope. No, sir.
Yeah, so they're having drag queen bingo, and that's this Saturday, September 24th, 5 p.m. Everybody's included. And general admission is $20 a pop for all ages, $25 for the adult. They have drinks, foods, swag, and a plethora of drag queens. So, did I miss something to where it's now cool to celebrate men dressing like chicks or chicks dressing like dudes and prancing and dancing in front of young people? Because it just seems like all of a sudden, boom, man, there's
Doug,
a ton of this crap going around the United States.
I just looked up their church weekly schedule, and that's not something special. Apparently, they have Monday Madness for all the crazy people come out, and also murderers are welcome, so it's crazy, murder and madness on Monday. Tuesday's Tranny Night, so they have Tranny Night on Tuesday. Wednesday's Whack Wednesday. Thursday's Meth Thursday. They come out, and Friday's for all the freaks. So it's just another night at their stupid. Why do they have to call it a church? Why do they got to call it a church? Call it a freaking gross, twisted, disgusting, deviant-laden, sin-infested rat trap of hell on earth. Why don't they call it that? And we won't even have to talk about it. When you call it a church, you put it in our realm, and we got an opinion. All the people out there, you're trying to judge. You know what? Shut the hell up and get your Bible open, or come see me, and I'll put some of that Bible right here through your mouth, through your ears. We'll put some up against your eyes and let you see some of it, because I don't want to hear one freaking Christian. Look, if you're sticking up for this, you're not a Christian. So go ahead, say what you want. Contact me, tell you you hate me. I'll tell you Jesus died for you. You could still repent. Sorry, I couldn't even hold it. I'm pissed.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. If you're going to call it a church, and it comes under the judgment of this thing called the Scripture, and these drag queen, approving pastors and and these people that are giving thumbs up to the most bizarre crap on the planet that anybody with 3 teeth and an IQ of 50 knows it's deviant. If you're gonna yodel and you're gonna put behind whatever you're doing, the word church, then we get to judge it.
Yeah.
And you can't just hide behind Matthew 7. It's like, well, Jesus says don't judge, and that's not what he said. He said pull the log out of your eye, and then you can go after the speck in somebody else's. And Paul says, man, for the don't judge people, Paul says pretty clearly in 1 Corinthians, he said, we are to judge the affairs of the church. He said, we're going to be judging angels. Yep. And so how about judging the affairs of this life? And that crap, excuse me, trans people, you're calling evil good and good evil. You're calling bitter sweet and sweet bitter. And we're calling bullcrap on your practices. And like Rich said, name it something else. And you know what? Nobody will give two flying flibberty gibbets about what the hell you guys are doing.
Well, how about this, Doug? You brought up Matthew chapter 7. In Matthew chapter 7, it says, straight and narrow is the path that leads to salvation, and there's few that go there or find it, another version says. Then it says, broad and well-traveled is the path that leads to destruction, and there's many, King Jimmy here, there's many that go therein. And so I'm going to go ahead and say that the LGBTQRSTUVW, whatever it is, I'm going to say that that's probably the broad and well-traveled. You don't even have to be a scholar for that. Did you know, Doug, that the LGB is now trying to separate the T. They don't want to be a part of the tranny movement because they feel like it doesn't represent them. And so now the LGB are discriminating against the T's. They can't even. Come on, man. Come on, Doug.
Yeah, I also hear, and I'm not in the community, by the way, I also hear that they're kind of upset with the B's also because they're just greedy. It's like pick an orifice and stick with it, I told this, so I was preaching the other day and I stood up and definitely red crowd, very conservative, good people, and stunned them, Rich, for about, I don't know, I let them kind of hang on the line for about 15 seconds. I said, listen, guys, I'm just going to be up front. You guys know that I'm a plain dealer. So I'm just going to tell you, I've had a change of heart and I wholeheartedly support LGBTQ. And I just let it hang out there like a matzo ball, man, for about 15 seconds. I wholeheartedly support let's get Biden to quit. So,
that's funny.
Hey, so churches are now having drag queen bingo night, and supposed churches, quote unquote. Schools, Rich, school aplenty. I'm looking at a whole litany of various reports that we're doing on ClashDaily.com, where drag queens are at family-friendly school shows. They're teaching this is groovy. Got a drag queen dressed like a topless stripper, strutting with this little girl. It's unbelievable. Drag queens working with youth. All of a sudden, Rich, hear these drag queens that are working with the little kiddies. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Just teaching them and loving them and showing them to be open to diversity and be tolerant. 25 of them got arrested for felony counts of pedophilia.
No,
Shocker.
Say it isn't so.
Shocker,
so,
man.
Doug.
Maskless AOC smooches Billy Porter and hugs a drag queen down in Miami. It's like drag queens and kids are all the rage. And look, at church, we're calling BS on that. At school, I tell people all the time, man, if you hate your kids, send them to public school. They're shoving this crap right in the kiddies' face at the public school system. I don't know how a parent can sit idly by and watch this garbage happen without A, confronting, the school board, and B, hopefully, or maybe A, this being the first thing to do, just pull your kids out. Everybody's like, well, we got to go in there, Rich, and we got to win the system back. I don't know if you could ever win this system back. I don't know if it's
garbage.
Too far frickin' gone. And I like the homeschool movement. Everybody's pulling their kids out of homeschool. My grandkids, Rich, are being educated by Hillsdale University right now. And they're 7 and 5. And you ought to talk to them, man. I guarantee Hamish could whip your ass in chess right now. I don't even play the kid. I don't even play the kid anymore. He's got this otherworldly, sense of time and dimension. And it's like, you know what? Let's arm wrestle. How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, I'll tell you, Doug, when we talk about church, talk about LGBT, whatever letters they want to add, whatever deviancy whatever your sin is, whatever, we're not against them being at church. I wouldn't even be against,
right.
I would even have an LGBTQ day. I would. I'll have it. I might even do that to invite them to come, not to give them a platform, not to give them a microphone, but to welcome them into the church to come and be a part of what we're doing and welcome them and love them and let them sit down and hear the gospel right there next to us. Let's do it. I'm 100% for that. Matter of fact,
with
one night
kids.
in church,
so what if they show
not
up
with
and
the
drag
kids.
with kids?
No, they're not going to be.
So.
Nobody's allowed in our kids department except the kids' parents.
No, I mean,
And
what
they
if the
have to-
kids are? What I mean is, can the kids be in the congregation when the parade occurs?
There ain't going to be no parade. They're just welcome. We'll just
Well,
welcome them.
yeah, okay. So say
when I
that they
turned
come.
around- yeah, go
say
ahead.
that they come in full drag. Would it be cool to have your kids there?
I don't care. Because I'm going to tell. Look, we've had people at our church that come to church high on drugs and give their lives to the Lord. Literally, they're straight at the altar. I had a guy I told you before stand there with a plastic bag because he was throwing up in it because he was kicking heroin. And he said, the Lord told me I had to come to the altar to get healed. My kids have seen that. My kids have seen
Right.
everything. And you know what I tell them? You don't want to be like that. We need to pray for them. We're glad they're here. I was in church one day and we said, all right, everybody greet whoever's around you. And I turn around. There's obviously a man standing behind me. He's clearly a man in a little dress. And it shocked me, caught me off guard. I mean, I don't know if I made a face, but I felt shocked, And I said, hey, how's it going? And I shook his hand. And I said, hey, welcome, glad you're here. And just welcome some other people. And he was there. And I was so happy. I told Annie, I'm so happy he's here because we want him to hear the gospel, right? And so we didn't make a big deal out of it. People talked to him, treat him like a normal person. And then he didn't ever come back. But I guarantee you, no one in our church was rude to him because we want him to come
Right.
there. There's a difference between wanting them to come because they need to hear the message and celebrating their sin from the platform in the church and setting them up as an example for the kids. Kids are going to see sinners and we're going to teach them, but we're not going to parade them and give them a platform.
Yeah. So I had this.
I feel like I'm yelling this whole podcast.
That's okay. You're full of coffee, man. You're full of coffee. Yeah. So, how many times did you allow him to do that? Now, look, I get it. I was a drug addict. I was a knucklehead. Our church has had all kinds of fruit, nuts, and flakes, come through our doors, both in Texas, especially in Miami. We had it all, baby, and from all over the world because it's a very cosmo, place, especially for Latin America. Anywho, how many times? So I'm just thinking through this. So you got the guy that's wearing some little dress that rocks up once. What if he continues to do that over and over and over and over and over again?
I'm gonna let him come. Let me tell you a quick story. I was in South Africa at my friend's church in Pretoria, and the church is 12,000 people, not in one service. There's probably 4,000 in a service. And I saw a couple that were clearly lesbians. One was trying to look like a man. And I said to my friend, I said, can you pray for that girl right there? Just from where you're seated on the stage, because we were actually on the platform. I said, can you just please pray for that girl? So when I preached the message and I gave an altar call, that girl came down. And there was probably 100 people or more. I don't know how many at the altar, but that girl came down. And people were praying with different people, but I walked up to that girl and I put my hand on her shoulder and started praying for her. And she started weeping. And I said, I've been praying for you since the beginning of this service. I knew you were going to be here at the altar. Doug, she told me, I've been coming here for over a year. I've started taking all the hormones to make my transition to a man. And today, I just felt like I can't do it anymore. I can't do this. This is not what God has for me. Can you please help me? And that girl had been going to church for a year with her lesbian girlfriend, but they're not in leadership. They're not. But the pastor said, well, we let them come. We want them to get saved. And over a year later, she came down, and I wasn't preaching on anything about that. I was preaching about Jesus. She got convicted. And so am I saying that everybody needs to do it that way? I don't know what people's different strategies would be, but that's what our strategy is, because we love people, and we want them to be saved. And who knows when that's going to happen. But tremendous conviction, Doug, weeping and weeping, telling me her life story. It was incredible. It was powerful.
Yeah, I get it, and also get that there's, just rapscallions, whether they're straight or gay or bi or what, that just like to prove points and jack with people and
Yeah.
flout authority and decorum and stuff. So I had this buddy who's got a church in another state that he had a similar situation that you said about, with a guy who's cross-dressing. And so they did the thing, hey, welcome, and they didn't, push him out, but he keeps on doing it and he keeps on doing it. Then all of a sudden, the parents are getting pissed off. The kids are asking all the questions like, what the heck is that, coming through the door. And they told him, listen, you're welcome here. We love you, but you got to cut this crap out, man. You're freaking the kids out. And so the guy left in a huff and, started writing all kinds of bad crap about the church being judgmental and not loving and stuff. I think the pastor was right, man. I think he was right. It comes to a point to where it's like, okay, what is this? Like, I would do it if first of all, I would start preaching around, around that sin if I saw it being repetitive and being shoved in our face. I mean, it's clearly, he's trying to get that response, from the church. He's trying to get that response from the congregation. I don't think it's something like, I just want people to receive me just as I am. Well, you can be just as you are, and appreciate the environment disallows for that kind of bull crap. I think some of these guys and girls are just pushing it way too far. And, the parents and the kids were freaking out, man, and they were threatening to leave the church. And this guy just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So,
well,
I don't know.
I think everything's a case by case. I don't think you can make a hard and fast rule. I think you'd have to determine the attitude and the spirit of the person that's coming and what their attitude is. Are they trying to push it? But I also would take note of every person who said, I'm not going to, and my kids, because that's also another attitude. And it's like, you know what? Or you're going to leave. Bye. You don't threaten me. Oh, you do this or I'm going to, bye. You're gone. See you later.
Yeah, they
You gone.
weren't.
I
Yeah,
know,
so
but I'm just saying, when people do that and they're like, what am I supposed to tell my kids? What do you tell them at the mall? What do you tell them at your school where they're doing it now? What are you going to tell them when they see it on every TV show? What are you going to do when every Disney movie you take them to, you're going to see that? What are you going to tell them then? Do you want to teach them now, or do you want your friends to teach them, their friends to teach them somewhere else? Do you want the world to teach them, or you want to teach them? So for me, that's a teaching opportunity. I mean, my kids, when I took my kids to Florida, we were actually in Miami, and there was a lot of homosexuals where we were in South Beach when it started to get dark and people were coming out to the clubs. My boys were younger, and they were freaking out. And they're like, Dad, I said, that's not right. What they're doing is not right. And they knew it was wrong. They were freaked out, But I taught them. I didn't say, hey, it's all good, let's be gay. I said, yeah, those people, what they're doing is wrong. And we talked about it. But they already knew, So I think it's a teaching experience. Also, I did have a person, you'll like this, Doug. I don't think I told you this. It was maybe 3 years ago or so. I was preaching on Sunday morning, and in the middle, maybe 10 minutes into my sermon, this woman stands up and says, in the congregation, and says, I've been here for 10 minutes. You've been talking and you haven't even read one Bible verse, which is a lie, because I never preach and don't read a Bible verse. I even make a joke about it. Sometimes I'll say, well, let me read a verse real quick so you know I'm a Christian. I always read a Bible verse at the beginning of my thing. It's what I do, right? It's just part of what I do. And I said, excuse me, I usually do this by myself. You need to sit down. And then I kept talking. And she said, well, I'm tired. I'm not going to stand here. And I said, well, if you look behind you, there's two men who are dressed in black. They are ushers. They're here to help you either sit down or to escort you out, because nobody came to hear you. And she says, well, I'm not going to stay here. I said, hold on. You can go. They're taking you. So they start escorting her out. The whole church is like kind of in a buzz, you know, and they start taking her out. And I said, wait, before you go, have you seen the movie Tombstone? She goes, no. I said, well, bye. And everybody started laughing. And she went out. And you know, our lobby is open to the sanctuary around. And you could hear her on the way out, yeah, you know, barking on the way out. We just escorted the door, sent her down the road. We found out that she was a lesbian activist that had come into town and was going to different churches and doing that at different churches, you know. And so that's a different thing. And then the person that invited her came up to me and said, I'm so sorry I invited that person. I said, that's not your fault. That's what we do. We invite people. You're not responsible for how they behave. But they did that in our sanctuary. And I was like, so what? You want to do that? And that doesn't faze me at all, Doug. You know me. You want to get in a shouting match with a crowd to watch? Let's go, man. That's my lane.
Yeah, so the church that I was referencing, they're very evangelistic and very open-minded. You know, bring your least, the last, the lost. I mean, they're not stringent at all. The congregation's not, you know, some fussy pearl clutching, you know, fundamentalist, no fun, mostly dumb, quiet mental type people. These are very hip, very cool people, and they just got pushed, you know, by this person. I mean, it's like every Sunday, it was kind of like the reverse of what, you know, Peter told women. It's like, listen, when you go to church, don't be flashing titties, you know, don't come with like birds in your hair. Don't wear micro minis, please, you know. To the congregation, don't come in some, you know, cream see-through peignoir. You know, this is time to worship God, and so it's kind of exactly, you know, the same thing that this cat's doing. He was trying to draw attention to himself, and it's like, you don't own a pair of pants, you can't see, you know, other dudes wearing this kind of stuff. Listen, have your freak show, do whatever you want to do on Thursday nights when you feel frisky, you know. But I think that there's, you know, I think they're right. And again, these guys are very, you know, cool, hip kingdom people that, you know, are broad-minded in regards to not being stringent. And a couple of the parents and the families that were dusting up, yeah, they're not the ones that'll, you know, looking to find fault. They're not like that at all. But it's like, okay, we got the first two trips that he came in and did this. This is getting, I mean, it was like a skunk walked in to the place and just started spraying everybody.
I just don't respond,
you know,
well to threats and demands, especially if they don't have a verse to back it up.
Right.
I mean, if they say, hey, we got to figure this out, what can we do as a church? We don't like this. I mean, I can work with people like that. But as soon as they say this or I'm gone, I say bye. Even if I'm going to do what they said, I still let them walk. I don't know if it was the best and the finest and the oldest.
Yeah, I don't think it was that hard and fast. They're just like, dude, we've spent, you know, 10 years here. We've given, I don't know, $150,000 a year here. My kids are over there scratching bald spots in their head, looking at, you know, St. Elmo over there wearing some Windsor, you know, prom dress.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it now for 6 months, you know. WTF, Dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's they're going to do it. I look at, you know, these little enclaves outside of Austin and stuff, and it's so weird because these are cowboy towns, man.
Yeah.
Cowboy towns all over the place. And so what'll happen is these Soros-funded, I kid you not, Rich, these Soros-funded operatives, you know, with their little rainbow agenda, they'll rock up right in the middle of just these, no kidding, boot scooting boogie, cowboy rodeo, you know, places. And they'll throw their frickin' parades. They'll do their drag queen type stuff.
It's weird. I never see them at the biker bar.
Yeah, Rich, nobody's local. There's nobody local that's doing it. You know, they're trying to, you know, they're trying to seed the environment. And again, you know, I watched them show up at a school board meeting when they're fighting for trans rights. You know, at again, a tiny little town independent school district. And every frickin' person that showed up to argue the case, I would say 90% of them, Rich, were from Austin or Delaware or Boston or the Napa Valley. They were all flown in. And you had maybe one or two students who said, somebody rejected me the other day and just said, pfft, when I asked the question. And now all of a sudden they're going to lock the school down in some kind of, hate factory of intolerance and stuff. And every bit of the opposition, just like every bit of the drag parades, the drag queen events, all that other stuff is just freaking bust in here from epicenters. And everybody's looking around like, the hell's going on to our city? What's again, we're not talking, man, we're not talking Houston. We're not talking LA. We're talking little cowboy country towns that's having this happen. So I have people all the time. It's like, dude, what do we do? It's like, well, first of all, I'm not a big sign-carrying protester. That's not how I roll. Right. I would rather have lunch, with the Satanists. I'd rather, drink a beer with the drag queen and talk to them, on a sidebar instead of like, we hate you, do the whole Westboro Baptist Church type stuff. That's not how I roll. However, something's got to be done. People are just sitting back watching this invasion. It's kind of like living, in Eagle Pass or Del Rio right now and just looking at the Rio Grande and looking at the Border Patrol with their hands tied and just watching, this stuff happen, and there's crap all that you can do about it.
Yeah, that's the thing is with the schools, especially in Arizona, they passed the deal here that you get your money back if you want your kids to be homeschooled. You're getting thousands of dollars. I think it's like $6,000 for a kid.
Right.
And you can go find your own school. So he's actually doing a really good job for being so stupid and so many other things. And so the great thing about that is
I think Arizona led the entire United States in doing that, right?
Yeah, we're first.
I know that they're trying to do it. I know they're trying to do it in spots in Texas.
Yeah, people are copying Arizona. They're quoting Arizona.
Right.
Saying
but that's statewide though for Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. And so here's the great thing. You got some kids, you got a couple families that got kids. A teacher that was teaching in public schools, build a little co-op and you do it. The teacher's making what a good teacher should be making if we choose to pay you that much.
Right.
Your kids can get a better education. You can tailor that education. And you're surely going to surpass these kids in public school, right? So it's a piece of cake. So that's one of the things, that parents need to get their kids out of the schools. And I saw a meme the other day, and I think it's perfect for this. This lady said, well, I don't want to homeschool my kids because I don't want them to be weird. And the other mom says, yeah, Becky, your daughter's 11. She's on anxiety and depression medication, and she's twerking on the lunch table.
Right.
It's like, too late, bro.
Don't want her not doing that, man.
Yeah, and so I think we need to stop allowing. Look, man, this is what we forgot with the government and the school. These people work for us, Doug. We do not work for them. They have no power. The principal doesn't tell me jack. Teachers don't tell me freaking jack. The head superintendent of the schools, they don't tell me anything. They got no power over me. Matter of fact, if they get close to me, start trying to tell me what to do, they're going to find out that I have power over them. They might have some legal power over me after that, but they don't tell me anything. And they don't tell me what to do with my freaking kids. So everybody needs to stop this thing like they have some authority. Those people are hired employees and they're elected officials. Throw their butts in the freaking road.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and it's because we're not taught the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, that we're under nature's law and the God of that nature, and we're very independent people, and we're not subservient to civil magistrates if they are praising what's evil and punishing what's good. That's when we're duty bound to disobey them. And,
but these people, Doug, aren't even our magistrates. They're not over us in any capacity.
Right.
The school.
But
people.
Again, what I'm talking about is not so much, do they have, plenary authority over us poor rubes in the flyover state, but we've, the parents, the teachers, and the kids, they've all got this idea that we're punks and we don't have any authority, we don't have any say-so, and we don't have any rights. So our congressmen, our senators, our teachers, again, those who are, civil magistrates, our law enforcement, the FBI, it's like we're just like, oh, don't punish us. Oh, okay, we'll get in line. You see what they did, obviously, because we covered the crap out of it in the COVID stuff for 2 years. Everybody just turns into this frickin' lemming and walks straight off a cliff instead of, understanding, again, like you said, you're our maid. You're our butler. You got to do what we want. We're the ones who pay your frickin' salary. Okay.
Yeah, and the government's supposed to represent us, and the school is supposed to work for us.
Yeah, and so you've got teachers, though, of a Marxist variety, kind of a neo-communist flavor, that have your little kids for 8 frickin' hours a day, you dumbass parents. And they're telling them all the stuff that we talked about today. Yeah, trans is normal. You want a boob job? You can do that. We don't have to tell mom and dad. You want to go on hormone blockers? You want to do some radical, chemical castration? And there, I think it's a school in Austin, I know it's in Texas. They said, listen, man, all this stuff that we're talking about, don't tell your parents about it.
Yeah,
dude,
bro.
Rich, back in the day,
you get shot for that. Dude, you literally get shot for that.
Right. Yeah, don't tell mom. And here's the...
Somebody starts telling my kids, don't tell your parents, we got a problem, bro.
Yeah, I think
we got a problem.
I think that's called grooming,
Yeah.
And here they are talking to kids, man. We're not talking about, post-pubescent,
right. 17,
young adults,
18,
17,
20.
18, all of a sudden, bird beads, that kind of stuff. We're talking about, pre-pubescent grooming. And I was watching Tucker the other night, and they're talking about how they're taking language, and they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to, define deviancy down, Rich, and it's not pedophilia anymore. It's just a mature
minor
adult,
attraction.
Yes, that just is attracted to this 5-year-old kid that's playing with frogs.
556 is also attracted to minor attracted people. 55 grain, 3,026 feet per second.
It's a whistler.
Yeah. I got a great story for you about the school. I've never told you this before. One of my kids, when they were homeschooling, my former spouse didn't check to see if they were doing their schoolwork. So at the end of 5th grade, she realized that one of my sons did not do 5th grade. Like literally skipped a year of school, and she didn't notice, right? So I asked my son, I said, why didn't you do school? Was it hard? He goes, no, it was easy. I said, why didn't you do it? He said, I didn't want to. I wanted to play. So I just got on the computer and clicked that I did get everything, and I went outside and play. And so I was like, fair enough. Guess what? Now you're going to go to public school and you're going to do 5th grade because you didn't do it. I'm not punishing you. You didn't do it. Now you're going to do it. So he had to go to school. So we went to school and enrolled. Now I used to work at a place, and obviously I don't work there now, but a guy who works there, his mom was my son's teacher. She's an older lady. And this guy starts spouting off at work saying that my son was dumb and couldn't pass some tests, and that's why he got held back in 5th grade. And he was saying that stuff out there at work, and one of my friends told me. I drove to the school, met with the principal, and I broke it down for her, and she said, yeah, I don't know, we need, maybe we could do this. I said, oh no, you apparently don't understand how this is going to go. I said, somebody's getting fired. It can be the teacher. It could be you. It could be the superintendent. This is not going away. Somebody's losing their job today. And she says, well, I would let you talk to that teacher, but she's not here. She's at chemotherapy. I said, okay, wait till she gets back and then tell her she's fired.
Right.
And she goes, what? I said, that sucks that she has cancer. Apparently, she has diarrhea of the mouth too. And I said, I don't care. I care about my son. And I said, hell is going to be paid. And she's panicking, Doug. And I said, what do you think about what I just told you? She said, I think a lot of things about what you just told me, but because of the legal proceedings that will probably happen, I'm not allowed to comment at this point. But I promise you, we're going to follow up and this is going to be taken care of. I said, yeah, she's going to be fired.
So lies.
Oh, it gets better. So I left there and I called her son at work on his cell phone. I said, what's up, man? He goes, hey, Said, so your mom likes talking crap about my son? You want to go run your mouth about my son? He goes, what are you talking about, dude? I said, yeah. I said, well, I just got done. I just did your mom at the school, bro. She's done. And I said, now I'm going to meet you and I'm going to whip your bleep, 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 bleep. Cezek didn't even have to bleep that out. He's like, what are you talking about, my mom? I said, it's got your mom fired, bro. My mom's getting chemo. God, that sucks. Now she's getting chemo and don't have a job. And he started crying. I'm sorry, man. I should have never said that. I said, you got that right. He said, I'll meet with you and you can beat me up. Please don't do this to my mom. I said, let me think about it. And I hung up. Then I called the principal. And the principal said, I already have a meeting with the entire school staff at the end of the day, and we're talking to everybody about the things that they say about students, and that lady's going to be, when we brought in, I don't know what's going to happen with her job. And I said, well, I want to let you know this. She goes, what? And I said, I would like you to personally give her a verbal reprimand and no paperwork and let it slide. But tell her if anybody ever says anything about my kids, there's going to be hell to pay. She almost started crying too, Doug. She's like, thank you so much. Thank you. I was like, no problem. She said, well, I'm still doing the meeting. I said, good job. Then I called that guy back and I said, I'm going to let your mom slide and I'm going to let you slide one time. And this is it. And he literally cried again and started thanking me. I'm not going to have it, Doug. That school works for me. You want to start running your mouth about my kids? You better grit your teeth. Oh, my life's hard. Guess what? It's about to suck way worse. Those are my children. I'm not here to be a team player when it comes to my family. That school is there to educate my kids with my taxes. They're not there to teach my kids what they want, to say what they want. Those are not your kids. Those are my kids. You want to go to war? Let's do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, man, that was many moons ago, and that kind of responsibility of making your kids upstanding, fine American citizens according to our original intent, our founding documents, that ship sailed.
Yeah,
that's
well,
not
parents
what they're
got to get on it, right? We got to watch over our kids.
That's not what they're doing anymore. Barney Fife's dead, Andy Taylor's dead,
For
Aunt
real.
Bee's dead. Opie's the only one alive. When people think, it's so great to send our kids to college, like, why would you do that?
You're gonna ruin them.
Why would you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to turn them into radical Marxists,
Yep.
that are following communist teachings
Yep.
that originated from early 20th century Italy?
No,
You're
that's
an
right.
idiot, man. Unless even I don't know where things are going to go, but man, I tell you what, hunting, farming, ranching, blue collar, I know guys who are multi millionaires that have junkyards.
Yep.
They buy scrap metal. So
And then
aside
be a man
from
and teach your kids to be a man. Teach your kids to be a man. Stop being
I tell you,
effeminate.
Rich.
It's not okay for straight boys to act effeminate. Keep your body under control. Don't let your arms swing around. Get your body under control. Get your person under control, right? Like, be a man.
let your arms sling around.
You know what I'm
Like
talking
that?
about? They talk, and it's like, my dad taught us
Right.
that when we were little. You bump
Hey,
into something, he's
no
like, hey,
jazz
boy.
hands, boy.
He'd be like, hey, boy, get your body under control. It's your job to control your body. Stop running into stuff. Klutz. He was so mean to my brother. He's like, you're the clumsiest kid I ever seen, you clubfoot. Get over here.
Right.
Like my dad was. But I'll tell you what, we learned to get our body under control. You can't be talking and I don't really know where my hands are going. If you're not watching
Right.
this, my arms are flying around like I'm effeminate. So don't
Right.
do that. Get your body under control for God's sake.
Yeah, unless you're a street mime or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Rich, what do the Warriors and Wildmen enthusiasts, the listener, I'm talking about the zealot, need to do aside from pull their kids from public school and severely limit their social media intake?
Yeah, and get some balls. And then go to warriorsandwildmen.com, subscribe, it's free. We'll hit you up with a couple emails a week, let you know what's happening. Keep listening to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to help support the ministry, that's how we do it. It's by your giving. Hit the war chest. It's tax deductible. We'll send you the information on that when you give. For those that are doing it, we appreciate you guys. You rock. Warriors and Wildmen. Out.